What?
I can hear your phone.
Oh.
Hello, Game of Thrones fans, and welcome back to my channel, Lady Firesnow. I'm here with Quaithe Theories. You want to say hello, Quaithe?
Hello.
Hello. We are so welcome to have you here today, and we are here to discuss episode 4. Are we already at episode 4? I can't believe it. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Right. It's 2 more episodes. I think I'm gonna cry.
Really? You think so? I think I feel like the writers are feeling. Let's get it done and over with.
Really?
I'm disappointed. I'm sorry. I guess it's my expectations, I expected so much.
I think the more that we know about the show, the higher expectations we have, and it's harder for them to please us.
It is, and I think also we got so spoiled by them using the book as a reference, which, he had time to think of awesome stuff while he was writing the book.
Right.
Years. And these guys, when Rogue, they don't have that much time to do all that, tinfoil thinking to have some awesomeness. And, I don't know about their contract, but I don't know if that time was an essence either. But either way, I just think they're moving on.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad about it. It's like...
I'm looking forward for them to move on, for this to be over. And I want to see, Martin's stuff. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I will be excited to actually read the books, and actually, I'm kind of glad that we waited, because I think I would be even more disappointed, I think, if I read the books already. So, yeah. We both said yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm going to read the books, but I can't wait to see Martin's HBO stuff, what he has, his writing, the prelude, I guess is what you're calling it, to this Game of Thrones.
The prequel? Yeah, the prequel.
Yeah, the prequel.
The prequel. Yes, the prequel.
I think that's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the prequel's going to be exciting too. I'll be excited to see that. So, what just happened?
Yeah, so I watched this episode, I'm going to say 3 or 4 times, not as much as the other ones. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Conversations, important conversations after watching it over and over. In fact, I couldn't sleep last night. I turned on the TV and it was on. And it was on, and I thought, well, let me just go ahead and, watch it again. And there was things in there that I was listening to that made me think of different ideas. I was too lazy to get up, and write it down. I'm sure if I put it on again, I will think of it again. But big conversations happening.
There was a lot of conversation. I feel like that episode was a whole setup for what's coming next, right? It's almost like it was like a first episode again. You know what I mean? It was so, it just really felt like that. I really felt like it did feel like a big setup for what's coming. And I'm still sticking to my guns. I've said this a couple of times, and I'm going to say it here live again, that I still think Dan and Dave are tricking us. I still think they're tricking us. I still think there's something really big coming that has to do with the White Walkers, or that has to do with the children, or that has to do with something magical. John's got to have some bigger purpose. This cannot be it. It cannot just be kill Cersei and it's over. I'm having a real hard time with that, because it's...
well, they did that with the Night King, or whatever his name is.
I know, but I just don't think... I just think maybe there's something else out there. Maybe it has to do with the sacrifice of the babies, or maybe, Quaithe, you mentioned something a while back. I don't think I have it anywhere on any of my videos, but you mentioned something a while back about, did you think that maybe there was like another guy who was like above the Night King, who was actually controlling the Night King too? Do you remember saying that?
I do remember. Yeah, it goes back to the time. I think you cleared it up for me though, where he was taking the babies. There was a scene where the layer where they took the babies and they had them laying on some kind of glass table or something.
Right. But that was the
Remember
actual
that?
Night King who walked up to that baby. But I still think that there could be some other greater source, you know?
That was their lair. That was their home. And in the background, you could see all the kings standing back there or whatever they were.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of was tying into the books about him bringing babies to his bride who could not have babies. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. The sacrifices of the
why
babies.
would he even take them there? He didn't have to go through all of that if he could just touch them like he did the dragon.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Who was he presenting them to?
Right. Like it seems like there's some bigger thing right there, right?
Could be, but I mean, this is me again, tinfoiling and just getting it out there and thinking of a good, exciting, but I don't think they have time for all of that. I mean, maybe they did do it already. Maybe you saw time lapsing big time in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
They're all landed on the beach and they're drowned. Next minute, they're reconnecting again back home and they're around the table. And there's they're fast forwarding everything really quick.
Yes, they're jumping forward very quickly. In comparison, I mean, they did this kind of like last season too. It was like Cinder Raven, next scene, the Ravens arrived,
Yeah.
across the world, Cinder Raven, Daenerys has arrived, it's just like, it's definitely.
So, I mean, getting back to that theory, I mean, I don't know if they could do all that on time for all of that. I mean, they were hurried up and made a whole bunch of scorpions, which is, I don't know, kind of silly. If you think of all that technology, I don't know if they had that back then. They made so many of them, and so
such a short period of time, because there were supposed to be dozens around the castle and dozens on the ships. I mean, my goodness, how did they have time to make all of those?
Yeah, and then she was I think she was making them a while back, a couple of episodes or seasons ago where she went walking down into the dungeon and they were looking at the skeletons. I think she had that in her mind before and was showing someone those dragons, the skeleton dragons, and showed that piece of equipment. But there's so many scorpions. I mean,
and they're bigger. They're bigger because they use when they walked down there. That was the first scorpion, right? And they used it. They used it, and then it got broke by Drogon in that one battle with the loot train. Those things they called it the loot train, fire loot train, or something like that. When Danny came and destroyed them and all that. But I think that this one. Well, I know that they said this one. I watched the making of the Game of Thrones. Again, I add those to my folder in the making of Game of Thrones. Anyone who's interested in watching those, you can find them on my channel, where they showed how they made it 2/3 bigger. And the arrows are bigger with the points having several points in them so that it really could make that impact onto Rhaegal and really kill him with one blow even. So
that was stupid. I mean, come on. He's supposed to be in between mountains and crevices and cliffs, and I mean, the accuracy of that was just over the top. Crazy.
Like, how did
not realistic at all.
How did he get that arrow over the mountain without being seen?
Without hitting the cliffs. I mean, it was just kind of silly. He was silly.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the way they want to go. It's like to me, it's like the writers got people went through all their internet and YouTubes and got all videos to the poll and said, let's see what's the percentage of what people want to see, what's the percentage of people don't want to see, and let's do that, and let's just kind of let's do it and done. Just like they did the Night King. Let's give them this, let's give them that, and done. Move on.
Right.
Maybe they did that to get to the big finale of the ending, which is the whole premise of the show, the Fire and Ice, Danny and John. Maybe they're getting all this storyline over and done with to get to that, to get to the great,
to the real battle, which is going to be what we keep saying, the Dance of Dragons. Whether there's real dragons or not, Danny's a dragon, John's a dragon. And so if the two of them are going to be, at war with each other, that would be the Dance of Dragons itself. So I'm still holding faith and hope for a pregnancy, but I guess That's like you. What would you say? The hopeless romantic in me.
Yeah.
It's the hopeless
Yeah, the
romantic in me.
romantic.
I want, you know, I want
Yeah, I
some
mean,
baby love.
you were saying that about Jamie and Bree, but I think that looked so forced. That looked like what did you call it?
That was fan service. That was yeah, that was fan service. Okay, so we'll start from the beginning of our outline. We've been jumping around a little bit, kind of warming up a little bit, trying to allow people to kind of get on and join us here in the chat. And I haven't seen anybody yet in the chat. So if anybody's here and you haven't said a shout out yet, please, you know, feel free to make a comment in the chat. If you're watching and not able to chat, we thank you for joining us today. Push that thumbs up button, guys. We really need you to support the channel and push that like button for us. Okay, so the first thing we open up with in the episode 4 was the funeral, basically, right? The funeral.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Did you like it, Quaithe?
I did. I liked it. I liked that they gave John some really good lines.
Yes.
Finally,
they gave him the Shaft episode 3. So that's what I call it, the Shaft. He didn't really do anything in episode 3. So it was nice to see him have a really good speech and some nice words to say. I really did like it. I've, you know, used that speech in my recap video, which I'm still working on, you guys. You know, I usually don't post it until Friday or Saturday because it's so hard to get them out along with everything else we've been doing. So, but yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was really emotional.
Yeah.
It's really emotional and heartfelt, really warm. We got to see Ghost.
Got to see Ghost.
Got to see Ghost. He's alive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder if someone's working in him. Or I wonder if John's able to talk to him telepathically, like, I don't know, some kind of Norse thing with dire wolves. Because I don't understand why it was so cold. You know, their meet and greet. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking outside the box. So.
I did kind of feel like that, but then I started thinking maybe John feels like I'm not a Stark and I shouldn't have a dire wolf. I'm a Targaryen. I should.
Oh, maybe so. Maybe that was why he had the coldness towards him.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe like that's just his way of, you know, going through what he's going through.
Separating, going, you know, men are not very good at expressing their feelings.
Yeah, who he is.
Mm-hmm, and trying to understand who they are as a person and being able to accept that. I mean, hello, I know this is old school stuff, but
Stark, though.
I know that's what I was about to say.
Stark blood.
He's still a Stark. I mean, it's not like he's not a Stark at all, you know. But you know, back in that time, it was all about the father. It was all about the father.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good to see Ghost, and I guess he was battling. He's got some injuries, you know. I don't know. We'll see what happens with him. We'll see if he's to be continued with him.
I think they're done with him. He sent him north of the wall. I mean, unless he goes north of the wall and he sees him there. If he ends up having to be some sacrifice that ends up going north of the wall and he becomes like the new Night King or something like that. You know, there's that theory out there. So
yeah.
I don't know if I believe that theory, but I do think he's going to be a sacrifice for something. You know, whether he's going to die or he's going to have to go north of the wall or he's going to have to be part of a pact, or there's got to be something there. They did not give him the kill of the Night King for a reason. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I do agree with that, yeah.
There's something bigger he's going to do. He has another role. And I saw that in the commentary. In the commentary when they said, we didn't think that this was his moment. Which means, to me, he has another moment.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't give it all to him. So, you know, and I still keep going back to Quaithe. If you guys haven't seen my videos with Quaithe theories, I have a couple of videos with Quaithe theories, and you had said this prediction with Cersei. You had said, you know, they're going to kill her off early, and everybody's going to be like, oh, man, they killed her off already, and then she's going to, like, come back, you know, and I think that keeps going on in my head, and I keep thinking that that's actually going to happen with...
Well, yeah, she can still come back, even though we don't have the Night King to bring her back, because she's got her own crazy man to bring her back.
Well, and that's true. I mean, it could be still her, but I keep thinking that we all feel that way about the kill of the Night King, about that storyline being over, and the fact that I don't think it's over. I really don't. I'm posting on my new video that I'm working on now for episode 4 recap, that there was a clip of interview with Dan and Dave. I think I showed it to you last night, Quaithe, where they, I forget who's the interviewer's name, the show that they were on, but he asked, was it Kimball?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Jimmy Kimball? Yeah. And he says, are we done with the White Walkers? And they were like, we can't answer that. So I kind of feel like if they really were done with them and there was really nothing to hide, that they would say, yeah, it's over.
Well, they got to be smart with answering stupid questions like that, because they still want the ratings. They still want to be the number one show.
Mm-hmm. They want people to wonder and guess.
And then nobody watches Game of Thrones anymore and starts watching American Idol. I mean, that would be sad.
Right.
So of course, they're not going to give any answer to that stupid question. That was kind of dumb. Anything that they ask, they're going to be like, maybe it will. Maybe the dragons will come back to life. Of course, they're going to say things like that to keep you watching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear you.
More money for them, more ratings, more money. Yeah.
I hear you. I guess it's hopeful thinking. Hopeful thinking. I don't know. I still felt like their reaction was a little bit. That was the one question they answered differently than all the other questions. Everything else was possibly. That was the one that was like, we can't answer that question.
Yeah.
So I just felt like, I don't know. I just feel like they're tricksters. I can't get over it. I keep thinking that, I just keep hearing that, you saying that over and over in my head. They're going to trick us. They always do that. And I think, and that you had said it for Cersei, but I really think it's going to be something. I really think it's going to be that whole storyline that they're tricking us about. And so I could be wrong, but we'll find out. I guess we're going to find out. We're going to find out. We've only got 2 episodes left. If they're not tricking us in this episode, I mean, what's left, right? So,
yeah. What do you think Danny told Jorah?
Good question.
I loved you. You were the love of my life. I don't know.
I think if I had to guess, I mean, I wish we could slow it down and watch her lips, right? But I think that his cheek kind of covered her lips a little bit. But if I had to guess, I would have said that she probably said something like, I'm sorry I couldn't love you the way you wanted me to.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you for always protecting me and loving me. That was what she told Jon, was that, she...
At this point, she knows who Jon is?
Yes.
Okay, so it looks like she's got sorrow in her face. Maybe she's telling him who Jon is. She's got to get it out and tell somebody. It's safe for her to tell him. Who's he going to tell?
Right. It's a good speculation.
Yeah.
So I was glad to see that everybody stayed around. I think we had speculated that maybe Jaime and Brienne would take off before this funeral, but they didn't, right? Everybody stayed for it. Everybody stayed to say their goodbyes. So
I was glad to see Jaime.
I was too.
And surprised at the same time.
Yeah, I was too. So the dinner, man, there was a lot of important conversation there that they really kind of made it seem like it wasn't important, but it was, right?
Oh, yeah. They're distracting you with, the drinking and all the, happiness and, the Starbucks cup. Well, it's not a Starbucks cup, it's a coffee cup.
Right, the coffee cup. Yeah, that was
distracting
funny.
You with all that. If you don't look at that, guys, and concentrate on the lines.
Right. There were some things that seemed like they weren't that important, but they, like you keep saying, Quaithe, they don't have time for non-important information. So everything's got to be important, right?
Yeah.
So
everything.
Gendry being named the Lord of Storm's End, right?
Yeah.
Gendry was named Lord. I think that was the thing that got everybody kind of riled up a little bit and celebrating versus being down in the dumps. But I think you also mentioned to me that, man, she's always got to remind everybody what happened to her and what happened to her family, whom she's never met.
Yeah, whom she's never met. Yeah.
She's always got to remind everybody, remember,
which goes back to what Vera said. They use these lines of, tyrants and all these, she's just, it's in her blood to act this way.
Yeah. To act a little bit crazy.
Yes.
Right? A little bit.
Wouldn't it be normal if she doesn't, right?
I mean, their house words are fire and blood.
Sure.
Right? That's their house words, fire and blood.
Yeah. And they know they were ancestral families, all of them were. So, yeah, they're going to be a little out there, cuckoo, you know.
Going to be a little cuckoo.
A little cuckoo. You know, no hair color.
No offense, but every good woman's got a little cuckoo in her. So, yeah,
I did like the conversation. I like that she had played her cards, her strategy. I do think Sansa noticed it and heard the conversation.
Mm-hmm. She looked over at Tyrion.
Who did she remind you of sitting there like that, listening in the back of the corner, not talking? Taking it all in.
Littlefinger.
There you go.
Littlefinger. Yeah.
She learned from the best villains.
Mm-hmm. She continued to do that, right? She continued. Oh, yeah. We continued to see her plot and plan and think. And, yeah, she is just anti-Dany.
Anti-Dany. But she's not anti-Dany for a reason, for nothing, just because it's a woman being bitchy. She is watching. She's being quiet. She's doing what Littlefinger told her to do.
Right.
Put it in your head. Think what everyone's going to do before they do it and plot it out. You know, she's doing that.
Right.
And she's seeing, and Dany is so predictable. She's so much predictable that even her advisors are like, worried. And like you said, everybody like, what the hell is she going to say and do? Everybody.
Yep.
John, everybody.
As soon as she called Gendry and his name, everybody kind of looked around each other. Davos and John looked at each other like, oh, shit. They showed Jaime's face like, oh, shit. You know, like, what's she going to do? You know, like, everybody was freaking out a little bit. You could see everybody got really quiet. Everybody was looking around. They were like, oh, my gosh. Everybody's a little bit scared. Everybody's a little bit scared of what she might do. Right? Yeah. Speaking of, was there something else with John? It wasn't Davos. It was Davos and Tyrion, right?
Yes, their conversation.
Yeah, their conversation. They had a very interesting conversation. It seemed irrelevant, but I think that it was not. I think that it was quite important.
No, I think if you watched it several times as we did it, I think all the conversation, everything that they're doing, it ties together. Everything's tying together, leading to one direction.
Right.
Which to some people might not make sense right now, but it'll make sense in the next episodes to come.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which was about the Lord of Light.
Right. And it seemed, if you really pay attention, I think you pointed out this out to me, Quaithe, yesterday when we were talking, was that it seemed like a lot of these conversations were talking about the Lord of Light. They're still talking about the Lord of Light.
Yes.
Like, it's still important. It's still relevant. There's not, that part of the chapter is not over.
Yeah. See, Davos was a non-believer in all that. He was pissed off, oh, your gods and this and that. He could not stand the Red Woman, all that stuff that she did. And it took a lot of seeing her do it before his eyes to grasp it. And now he's putting all the pieces together, and he's like, okay, so now what? He's got our attention. He came, he helped us fight the Great War, and that was it? Is that it? He didn't say that there's nothing else from him? Like, so in his head, he's like, okay, so this shit's real, now what? Now what does he want from us, and why doesn't he say anything?
Yeah, it's like, okay, we defeated the Night King. Now what? Nothing?
He's not showing himself. I don't know. You know, if you think about it, guys, he also, Lord of Light did a lot. He gave the Red Woman ability to make the dragons awaken. He gave them the dragons. Mm-hmm. That was his gift. That was what he did. I can't keep getting to my head far-fetched saying, you know, that the dragons might be the Lord in their form, like Jesus came in a man. You know, they're prophet, their God. I mean, I just keep hearing that in my head about, okay, maybe Drogo is the Lord of Light. That's why he's undefeated. That's why he's smarter than any other ones. But, I mean, well, that's time will only tell, and I don't know if they're going to have time to do all that crazy entwining.
Yeah, we had a section talking about the dragons.
And and the Lord of Light, and he's just putting all of this together. And now Tyrion's not on board, as you can tell in the conversation. He's still not fully convinced on all the hoopla and magic yet.
Yeah, I was thinking about the dragons, and we were kind of talking about them yesterday also, and how the dragon that's left, and how I think he will survive. I think he's going to survive. Like you said, he's pretty smart, right? Before we move on to Tyrion and talk more about Tyrion, because there's a lot to talk about Tyrion in this episode.
Yeah, he's really smart. It's like, I don't know, I think they're making the dragon with more of a personality. More, he's the senior one, the main one, what is the alpha male of them.
He's a smarter one, right? You were like, he's got more.
He's a smarter one. I think, he probably has the ability to figure out the strategizing his own way of how to battle, I would say.
Well, somehow they shot 12 spears at him, and none of them hit him. And the first one they shot at Rhaegal he got hit.
Well, that's the whole part I was saying.
That wasn't realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever.
They had to kill off a dragon. Yeah.
Gotta have a little bit of Hollywood in there,
I know we're not supposed to talk about this until Sunday, but there was that look that Euron has in the preview for the next episode, and they put the dragon sound there when he's looking up in the sky. That doesn't mean he's really seeing a dragon, but what else could he be seeing? And why would he be making that face if he's not scared of a dragon?
And there was a dragon sound. I mean, they could have, like you said, clipped it in, or maybe there was another dragon. But do they have time to add another dragon? And are there baby dragons? And also, would they be babies, guys?
Well, you had mentioned that, there was, for the longest time, Rhaegal and Viserion were down, locked away in Marine.
Yeah.
And they could have made eggs. Now, who would hatch those eggs, though?
Well, I mean, I think it's different. Once the Lord gave them the power, I mean, now they're living, breathing beings. Do you know what I'm saying? Living, breathing eggs. The other eggs were petrified, already raw. So they needed the whole sacrifice and all that.
Well, the story, according to the books, you have to birth the dragon, they have to be burned in fire, and a person has to do it. In the history of the books, you had dragon hatchers like Dany, and then you had dragon riders like Dany and Jon.
Yeah.
Not all dragon riders were dragon hatchers, and to have the ability to is that Kitty? Will you let her know to let her in? Sorry guys. Kitty's outside and it's about to start storming. So if you're in Texas, you know all about the storm that's coming, and we gotta make sure Kitty doesn't get left outside in the storm.
Yeah.
Tell her quickly, hurry before it starts. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna have time to do all that stuff, or they're going to go to the book stories of that. Or if they just want to go with regular dragons having eggs and they're hatching. I mean, whatever. I mean,
I think we're going to get eggs at the end no matter what. I think we're going to get some eggs at the end. And I would love to see some baby dragons. And I think it just, I don't know. I know that people don't want to, I've lost my live stream on my thing. I wonder what's up with that. I wonder if everybody still can see us.
Well, the storm, I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be knocking it out some.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some people already lost power or couldn't even get in. Okay, no, we're still live. It says we're still live.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
But, I mean, okay, so let's say they did have babies. Let's say they had eggs, whatever. They hatched it. And they hatched, for whatever reason they did. Okay? The natural way without all the whole magical hoopla. Say they did hatch. The timeline of them being hatched and being in that crypt to now, I don't think they would come out as babies.
Yeah, no, they would be bigger.
They would be adolescent teenagers. They would be the size of what Drogo was when he rained fire in the arena.
In the arena, when the first time Dany climbed on top of his back to ride.
I think they would be about that big.
I would agree with you if that actually happened in that time period. And there was, I mean, in the books, there is another Targaryen or supposed Targaryen out there in the books. You never know what they're going to throw at us here at the end, just to like throw us off completely and shock us. I'm still waiting for the shock. I'm waiting for the shock factor. You know what I mean? Like, I know we were shocked by episode 3. I know there was a lot there, and I know they've given us a lot of content, and I'm not complaining, but I'm still waiting for the red wedding shock. You know how you felt?
That's funny. I was just going to mention the red wedding. I have a coworker that's just starting to watch Game of Thrones, and she just watched the red wedding, and she's like, I'm blown away. I did not expect it.
I didn't expect
it. See it. I didn't expect all that coming. She just was like, she could not stop talking about it.
I'm waiting. That's what I'm waiting for. And I know Dan and Dave are trying to wrap this shit up, but I just can't believe that they would want to go out with a big bang. And I just really believe, I'm really hoping it's going to be this episode. I'm really hoping this episode, we're going to get some big shocking thing that's like a cliffhanging piece of evidence at the end of, usually in the Game of Thrones episode, there's 10 episodes usually, except last season, right? In the season, there's always been 10 episodes. Always episode 9 is the big episode. Okay. That's when we had the red wedding. That's when we had the big attack north of the wall. What's it called? Is it Harrenhal?
Yeah.
The battle at Harrenhal. That's when we had the battle in the sea where they had the big explosion. That's when Cersei blew up the Sept, right? Or no, was that episode 10? But I would think the episode before. Yeah, no, it was the episode before, which is the big one. That's when they cut off Ned Stark's head. It's always the episode before the last episode. You know, so I'm waiting for this episode to be knock our socks off and just really shock us with something big. That's what I'm waiting for. Am I crazy?
Yeah. I think it might happen.
I hope it happens. I hope it does. So, and
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be the death of Cersei. I think that's going to shock everybody.
Well, so let's talk about the death of Cersei. I know we have that.
I do. I know you wanted to go in order, and I'm watching it now, and there is something that I kind of want to bring in that to me is kind of important, and probably nobody thinks it is, but it's the Tyrion and Bran conversation.
Yes. Let's please talk about the Tyrion and Bran conversation, because there was a lot of interesting Tyrion conversations, and that was really, again, like you keep saying, they don't give us information that's not important, right?
Yeah.
So I think that this conversation still indicates that Bran really does know the future, even though people don't think that they do.
Darren Targaryen, he said, built that shit. He bared the chair for
Darren or Darren Targaryen. I can't remember who that is, but I'm sure it's one of the kings from the past that had a child. Hi, Melodies Readmo. We have someone in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad you're here. Anybody who comments in the chat, we're going to say your name. We're going to read your message and answer your questions. So if anybody wants to comment, please, we want to hear what you guys think. So thanks for joining us, Melodies. So go ahead, continue. You want to talk more about that?
Yeah, I was talking about how they're dropping some names. They're talking about the past, and as everybody know, even in the real time now, we make the same mistakes in our politics and our wars and our battles all the time. And I think Bran knows that, and he's trying to go back into I think he does. He says he lives in the past. I think there's a reason why he's going to the past. I think he's trying to learn from the past to see what they did and who's what and where's what and everything. I think he's trying to tie it all together. But he doesn't really say too much. He says a little bit, gives us little Easter eggs, and then he stops. Mm-hmm. But I think what he has to say is important.
Right.
I think we really should listen to it.
And I think you're right about the fact that he can't say too much. Because
he can't say too much.
Because if he does, he could change the path, right?
Yes.
The path that he wants everything to go on. There's always this theory that, he sees all the mistakes of the past and, he sees everything that he could change, just like he learned from Hodor, right? He learned from Hodor that you cannot mess with the past when you go there, and you cannot mess too much with the present or you will screw up the future. So
yeah, and I mean, he said he built this chair for his nephew 120 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been working.
He's been green searing. Yeah, he's been green searing, going in the past.
Way back.
Still going in the past, still looking at things. Why? Right?
Yes.
Why?
Why?
I think that's what they were trying to tell us, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, and I think they got to give us something. They have to give us something. They can't, and it seems like they've been waiting till what? The last episode, till they give us something usually.
Yeah. I mean, he's even telling him, I don't want to be that Ned Stark's, leader here,
Yeah, I don't want to be the Lord of Winterfell.
Yeah.
I'm not the Lord of Winterfell. I can't be the Lord of Winterfell. Who's going to make a Stark baby? How can there always be a Stark in Winterfell? Sansa, Sansa's going to have to name her child Stark.
Yeah.
Think about it. Jon's not a Stark anymore. Arya's definitely not having no babies. Bran's not going to have no babies. Look at him. All you got left is Sansa. That means she's going to have to name her child Stark, whoever she's with. Right?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Right? And who's going to be...
Well, everything's falling apart. I mean, all the houses are changing. Things are changing, Even Arya, if she was to take Gendry's offer, then it would change for her. Everything would change. But I think that's what Tyrion and Varys really want. They want to change the houses and all that. They want to marry everyone together to make it a whole different world. And I think listening to these little bits of conversation, that's very important. Him not wanting to be in charge, not wanting to be in the north, Arya not wanting to be there. You're right. Who's going to be there? Who's going to be left there?
Sorry.
That's okay.
I got extra children in the house tonight.
That's okay.
Grandbaby Firesnow.
That's cute. But I mean, you're right. There's a lot of interesting things. And I mean, that was an interesting conversation. There's a lot in there if you watch it, read between the lines, and get into the politics minds. What they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And Bran's not too much a conversation. He's like, I can't say too much. You're right. I think you said that, Lady Firesnow. You had mentioned the timeline is very important. He can't say too much because while he's having this conversation, he looks back like, take me now before I say too much.
Right.
Like he wants the conversation.
Yeah, he's like, I can't say anymore. Come get me.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Yeah, like I really hope we're going to see something more from Bran. I hope they don't make us wait all the way to the last episode to finally get something interesting from him. And then it just, I don't know, it just is kind of how it's been. I think the last 2 seasons, it's been kind of like, I'm going to give you this little snippet and that's all you're going to get. And
and I hope Tyrion ties all this together because he's in all these conversations.
Right?
He is like everywhere.
This was the Tyrion show, right? This time?
Yeah, it's like Tyrion's having a conversation with this person, person. Everyone's putting all this stuff in his head. And I think it's going to be for a reason. He's like Varys, I said, he needs to make a decision. He's got to figure out what to do. And he's not been smart about all of this the whole time. Mm-hmm. Even Sansa's made that comment going, dude, I thought you were smarter than that. I looked up to you. Thought you were the smart one, I think is what she said.
Right. I thought you were the cleverest man. I thought you were the cleverest man I ever met. And not anymore. Not anymore.
So he's been like wrong. Everything's been wrong. He's got to get his head back in this game. He has to. Right. And so I think all this conversation, like you said, I think it's all for him. I think this episode was for him. It even ended with him looking at her with his face like, holy shit, how am I going to fix this? And then the next preview was him walking in, tippy-toeing, really scared to talk to Dany, to face Dany. So, yeah, I think it's interesting. This conversation is really interesting Bran's having with him. And the next conversation was who?
That Tyrion had?
Oh, Tormund.
Well, that was Tormund and Jon. But I think if we're going to talk about Tyrion, I think he had lots of conversation with Varys. I don't know if we want to save that for later. Should we talk kind of
He had a conversation with Varys. He had a conversation with the table. He had with Danny. I mean, he was all over the place.
Yeah.
Jamie.
Yeah, this was definitely the Tyrion show, right? Definitely.
I think so. There was. I think they're putting a lot of information in his head for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've been doing that, right? They've been setting that up even from when he sat down with Bran the first time. So, yeah, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen there with Tyrion and what is he going to do. I think you had mentioned too that, why is he still so? You had said, why is he still supporting?
So pro Danny.
Yeah, so pro Danny. And I really think it's just commitment. Like he believes in her.
Like I said, I couldn't sleep last night. I turned it on, and I said that was funny because it was on that part where they're having that conversation, and he said it because Varys asked him, and he said, "You remember, he's not big on believing in all the witchery and magic and all that. He's really not.
Right.
He's level-headed.
Logical.
Very logical. Yes." And he said, "This is a girl who walked through fire and hatched eggs." Because he goes, so he's still on that. Like, that wouldn't happen for no reason. There's a reason why she did that. That's why he's still hooked on her. Like, that was what his logic was. That was his logic thinking why he's siding with her. If she wasn't going to do something big or fulfill her destiny, then why would that happen in the first place?
Girls.
Why would they do that?
Okay, take a breath. Are you gonna say hello, girls?
Babies in there?
Yeah, I got. Are we saying names?
I don't care how you doing.
Queen. Oh, I see them.
Do you see them?
Yeah, I see. I'm in the living room watching the episode.
How you doing, girl?
My girls wanted to be in the live stream, so they wanted to say hello. Hey, no tongues, okay? No tongues. Okay.
Hi, fans.
All right. Yes, that's my girls. They my little Firesnow girls. So my little Firesnow girls. So I'm with you. Quaithe. Behave. Y'all behave. Varys is gonna spread the word, right? He's gonna go tell everybody who Jon is. It's no longer a secret. It's now information. That's what he said.
No, it's not no longer. Yeah. Yeah.
Dancing. Oh, looks stupid.
This is not a dancing live stream, right?
I know. Y'all just sit there and just talk.
That's what we're talking about the Game of Thrones. This is important.
Yeah,
stuff.
you can do a video or do something funny. Like you just. This is the Game of Thrones.
This woman, these girls over here. Okay, let's focus, please. What do you think about that? So it kind of leads into the Golden Company, right?
Well, yeah, I was talking about how Tyrion's having conversations with everybody, and there's all these political talks, and why he's siding to be with Dany, and that's his reason. I think things are going to change to persuade him to change his mind on something or to get him confused. He's going to have to sit and drink a lot of wine and put all the puzzle pieces together. He's just going to really have to dig deep and get in there, or I go and pick Bran's brain more. You think
he's eventually going to betray Dany? You think he's eventually going to turn?
I think he's going to be really confused about what to do because he knows she is at the edge of her rope. At the end of her rope. I know he knows that because at the very end when he turned and looked, and he even said no, and he turned and looked at Dany like, holy shit, it's about to happen. And it's hard for him because that's his homeland. Those are his people. It's hard for him. He's trying to play devil's advocate, and it's really hard. So he's really got to dig deep. And I think that's why they're putting him in all these conversations. He's going to have to really go into a room, get his M's wine, and drink and think, because that's what he does. What does he say? When I drink, I know things.
I drink and I know things.
Yeah. So that's my whole rant on Tyrion. I think the show was it was a lot of Tyrion, and there was a lot of information for him to take in.
Right. We got a message in the chat. Melody's Ritmo says, "Are you guys Canadian or from Greenland or just normal people?" Just normal people. What's normal?
We're from Canadian. No, I'm just kidding. I'm everything.
No, we're from the USA, and we are in the Lone Star State of Texas. So that's where we are. Yeehaw!
I'm surprised you couldn't tell.
Yeah, we have pretty strong Texan accents, and we say y'all.
I'm going.
We say y'all.
Stop.
Every once in a while, we'll do a you guys.
Yeah, we'll do a you guys and a y'all. Okay, granddaughter Firesnow. She's gonna get in here too, right? Say hello. Hello. All right, everybody out. Come on, get up. Everybody. We're trying to focus here, and y'all are distracting. We're gonna be in this live stream forever. I hope you all are enjoying all these pretty faces.
Yeah, see, that's what it should be about. Funny and.
Come on, get out, everybody. Come on.
Go, Chloe.
Go to bed. It's bedtime. Yes, go take a shower. I mean it. Come on. Come on. Go. Okay. So we know Varys is gonna serve the people. We know that he is.
I love that about him.
Yeah.
I do.
I do too. I do like that he's not afraid to jump ship and jump onto another better support. I know, another better ruler. You know, it's like Dany was the best ruler that there was to offer, and what? Now there's Jon. Oh, Jon's better ruler. And did you notice that Tyrion did not deny when he was like when he asked him? He asked him, "Are you going to tell me that you think Dany?" Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tyrion did not deny that Dany would be that Jon would be a better ruler.
No.
He did not deny it. He was just like, but he doesn't want it. But he doesn't want it. But he doesn't want it. And I think Dany's right. Doesn't matter if he wants it. It does not matter.
He's running out of ideas. He's running out of what to do. The poor guy, like you said, you're drinking more because he's like,
how do you handle this?
That's how he thinks, though. He's got to take it all in.
Mm-hmm.
And the only solution he can get is let's marry them, let's marry them, let's marry them, let's change the world, let's put peace. He keeps trying to do that, but that strategy, and he was right, it's not going to work. It's not, unless she calms down or gets level-headed again, it's just not going to work. She's not going to give Jon that. She's not going to give up the power.
Right.
I know he's talking treason. I know he's thinking that, but he has every reason to. I mean, he said, "I'm going to look you in the eye. I told you I would." He is. He's, either A, Tyrion's going to get scared and go tell her, or Tyrion's going to try to talk her to be level-headed.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to try to talk her, because he said that's our jobs. That's what we're here for. I don't know. Which way do you think he's going to go? What do y'all think he's going to do?
I'd like to know what anybody else thinks, except for, of course, Jade, get out of the chat, okay? Get out. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
I'm just having an issue with subordination. Someone's going to have to get capital punishment. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see it in the chat. She's all over the chat.
I just came to it. I see it.
Yeah, she's all over the chat. Okay. Can you ask the question again, please?
What do you think Tyrion's going to do? Which way do you think he's going to go?
I don't know. I think he's going to try to stay loyal to Dany. I think he believes in her. I think he didn't become her right-hand man for no reason. And I think that he's going to stick to his guns. And I think he's going to keep pushing the marriage thing. I think he's going to keep pushing it. And we still haven't seen that episode. Woo, just don't shoot me. No, we won't shoot you. Not unless you try to break in our house. That was Melody's. But
girl, it's not all backwoods horses and country over here.
No, we're not on buggies and stuff, guys. Come on now. No. This is not really. It's not really like that here. We just Yeah, well, we are a little old-fashioned though. Things take a while to change around here. Most people don't want to change, but
We're traditional.
we're very traditional. Yes, we are very traditional. So, but I know I think that Tyrion is gonna stay true to Dany. I think he is. I think unless she's gonna do something really bad, and then even then, I think it's gonna be hard for him to betray her. I really think he's going to try to stay true to her as long as possible. And I think he's going to push the marriage. So,
Okay. All right. So how is he going to?
The only chance that he's going to win. The only chance that he's gonna get that to actually happen is if there is a pregnancy. If Dany ends up pregnant, like if she doesn't get pregnant in this next episode. They could do like a fast forward at the very end, at the very end where they fast forward and all of a sudden there's a baby Targaryen and they just never told us, just like it just didn't come forward until the very end. I will hold on to that to the very end, to be honest. I think unless something major happens this episode, it's like, okay, that's ruled out. It's done. You know what I mean? That would be the only way. But,
yeah, for her to get pregnant, it had to happen and Jon pushed her away and it didn't happen. After their drunk beds, and he's already off over there, and rumor has it that Cersei's going to take him captive. So
I gotta read this message. So Melody says she was in Austin and then she felt pretty comfortable here. We're glad that you feel comfortable here. We're very hospitable, I think, for more than most people. And Jade
sounds like a very young viewer. Chatter.
Yeah, Jade says that she's going to take her horse to the Old Town Road.
She told Jade to get off the chat. Now you're laughing at her.
I'm sorry, yes.
But at the same time, I think that both of these are very young chatters that we have on our thing.
Yes.
I don't think yes.
Pretty interesting discussion, though, by the way. Thank you, Melodies. Thank you for joining us. And guys, thank you all for joining us. We do have, looks like about 5 people watching. So if you're watching, please push the thumbs up button. That really does help grow our channel. So we're talking again about Tyrion and Tyrion's betrayal. Is he going to betray? We already know that Varys is going down the betrayal route. I was really kind of disappointed about that. Even though there was a foreshadow for it, I wasn't seeing it. I wasn't wanting to see it, I guess. But we definitely see that happening. And we definitely think, don't we, Quaithe, that it's going to go to the Golden Company, right? We've been talking about that. We've been talking about that.
It's going to go to the Golden Company if it gets there. Qyburn has the same little birds that he has, his little sparrows or whatever they call them. They both have the same thing. Those kids are playing devil's advocate, whoever gives them the most candy. So it's going to get to Cersei as well.
Right. It's going to come around. It's going to get around.
Yeah. If the Golden Company is going to find out through the little kids, then Qyburn's going to find out, which Cersei will find out.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this information is going to be, and he's going to be like, she's nothing. She's not going to even give Dany the time of day anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Cersei will, once she finds that out.
And if the Golden Company really are made of bastard Targaryens, Blackfires, if they really are, then it's a very strong chance that they'll change sides. So, yeah. Or they'll refuse to fight against him.
Yeah. And she won't know that they're going to do that until they're way up in war, and she tells them to charge, and they don't charge. Right.
Like they're not. That's going to be like a shocker. Yeah, it's going to be like a shocker thing, right? It should be like a shocker thing. Like they may give us like this tiny little bitty evidence that will make sense. It will be like, what are they talking about? And then all of a sudden, bam, surprise, we're not on your side anymore, kind of thing. I'm waiting for that to happen.
Instead of going, out of the castle, they're going to about face and go towards it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to be like crazy.
Something's got to give. Look, we saw early in the series the roof of the keep, okay, where the throne is, just completely burned out, right? We saw that in her when she went to the tower, where they took her dragons, where they tried to steal her dragons when they were babies, and she walked in the throne room and she went to touch the throne and it was covered in snow, but she never touched it. she like backed away, and then she went to, go find her dragons. And when she looked up and around, you could tell it had been burned. So we are expecting that to happen.
Yeah, that's when she was with Quaithe and the Blue Lips people.
Yes.
Yeah.
They weren't wizards. They were like, I can't think of the name. I'm so sorry.
They drink that blue stuff. Yeah.
Yes, they drink that to make them, go woo, Anyway, yes.
Yeah.
So when they try to take her dragons, basically. We've got someone else in the chat, Sansa Stark. Hi, Sansa. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us. If anything you want to ask us, anything you want to say, please feel free to comment in the chat. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it an adult conversation, so let's try to all play nice in the sandbox.
Right. Let's play a nice sandbox. I like that.
Yeah.
So we kind of skipped over a few things that happened in dinner. There was a Tormund and Jon conversation. And they just keep leading back to, we said this earlier, they keep leading back to the Lord of Light, right? He kind of brought that whole thing up. He was really talking up Jon. He was really talking about how when Jon died, and usually they die, but no, not this guy. He comes back to life, right? And you were mentioning that yesterday, that they want to remind us. For some reason, they want to remind us of that information, right?
Yeah.
What? For him
And I don't know if Danny ever knew that. I know he tried telling her, or Davos tried saying it at one point, and Jon gave him the nod not to say anything. So I don't know if anything was mentioned about that or what. But she looked shocked in a lot of information of different things, I think.
Yeah, he definitely looked back and looked at Danny right away when he said, he's a king, and she was like, he looked back at her like, oh my God, but see, Tormund doesn't realize that that's treason type words, No,
he does not. He's drunk talking, he's having a good time. But also when he went to grab Jon and pushed him where he died, Jon was like in pain and that. So I don't think those stab wounds are not healed. He's just on borrowed time, guys. Lord Light's given him life for a reason, to fulfill some kind of destiny.
Right. He's got some destiny to fulfill. He's not just here to live and survive. And I think there's a lot of people out here that think that Jon is going to survive and he's going to live. And I don't see it, guys. I don't see it. Right? Beric was here. He had a purpose. He died when his purpose was over. And I think Jon has a purpose, and he's going to die when his purpose is over. You know?
Too.
Yeah. Danny as well. I really think that Danny is not going to survive. I don't see her living to the end.
I don't either.
I don't see it. I don't see it. She thinks that her purpose was to sit on the Iron Throne, and I really don't think that's her purpose. I think her purpose is something else.
It's not her purpose.
Right? She just doesn't want to face it. Yeah, now she doesn't want. Yeah, she's like going to and that was something else we didn't talk about earlier about Danny, is that she doesn't really know how to take rejection. She doesn't really know how to play the game.
No. Or take advice. I mean, if she doesn't like it. I mean, when they were letting Jamie stay and she was like agreeing, she looked away. She did not want to do that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, she did not like people questioning her authority. Like, Jon's kind of gotten used to Sansa questioning her authority, and she was kind of looking like, why are you even talking, bitch? You know what I mean? Like, I'm in charge here, and the only person that really should say anything is Jon. And Jon kind of had to turn to, when they were talking at the table, their battle plans, kind of turned to her and said, we're going to do whatever she commands because she's the queen. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like, Sansa, like, doesn't get it. Like, you need to shut up, because you have no place here. And it seems to me like, Sansa doesn't get that. Sansa Stark here in our chat actually made a comment that I thought was very logical. She said she doesn't get how half of Dany's soldiers survived, especially the Dothraki. When they were at that table, they were saying half of ours are gone, half of ours are gone. What? I didn't see hardly any survivors. What are they talking about? Right? Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. I'm telling you, it's not the show.
Yeah, there's not totally realistic what we saw. We saw that almost everybody was dead. How are half the people still alive?
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't that many people in the crypt.
No.
The crypts, to hiding.
And there definitely wasn't that many people. I mean, we were watching the show going, oh my gosh, they're about to die. Everybody's about to die. So we're with you, Sansa Stark. We're with you. We don't know. We don't know how they survived, but it's a show, right? So
Yeah.
So leading us back to the Lord of Light, everything keeps leading us back to the Lord of Light, which tells us, right, that there is going to be something more. There's going to be something more.
I think the only thing that's going to calm Dany down, I think the only way that Dany's going to get calmed down and she's going to need a different type of advisors, I think they're going to have to bring her Red Woman back in.
So you think we're going to get some Kinvara?
Yes. I think they're going to have to. Tyrion can't do this on his own. Varys is already gone. You know, if he's not gone physically, he's gone mentally. He's doing his thing. I think once that information gets out, in fact, I think they even know. I think they might know. I think the Lord of Light and all the Red Women, all those people, I think they know the truth about Jon, which, of course, that's why Jon's alive. The Lord of Light gave him power, gave him life for that. I think they're going to have to come and she's going to have to be a help advisor and calm her down. Something's going to happen. She's going to have to do something to calm down in order to serve her purpose of what her destiny is.
You think we're going to get a raised dragon? You think they're going to raise Rhaegal? I know we kind of mentioned that earlier. You think we're going to get that? You think it's a possibility?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to have time for all this. But
I know they keep saying that, but the episodes are pretty long. You know, what else are they going to fill it with?
What was the name of the first Red Woman? She said, "I'm the very first Red Woman."
That was Kinvara.
That was
Kinvara, the really, really pretty one. She's really pretty.
Yes,
she came to visit with Tyrion, and she told Varys, "Should I tell you what the voice said in the fire?" Yeah, that was Kinvara. I'd like to see her again. It'd be nice. It'd be nice for them to bring us another character or something, right? It'd be nice to get something.
Well, yeah, Tyrion needs some help.
Tyrion needs some help. Yes, he does.
Stay on Team Dany. As you've seen, he was the only one walking in there.
Yeah.
You know, to talk to her. And now I think that's going to be the conversation where he tells her he knows.
In the preview.
Yeah.
In the preview that he's going to.
I know I'm jumping way ahead, guys, but I'm sorry. It kind of all ties together. But we are in the conversation of Tormund talking to him, praising him as king. Lord of Light still reminding us of why he did that. And then he looks over at Dany, and Dany's kind of like happy, but at the same time she remembers who he is, and she gets sad again.
Yeah, because she sees how they all love and praise him. And that was the way they spoke about Rhaegar. People adored Rhaegar. They loved him. They wanted him to be king. He was a great warrior, and he was kind and loving, and he gave money to poor children, and he was sang, and women adored him, and he was good looking, and he was liked by everybody. Everybody liked him. And Jon has got all those same traits.
They're giving that character to him.
Absolutely.
Characteristic.
Absolutely. I mean, he's definitely being like his father through and through, and Dany sees that. And it's threatening to her. She's like, she can't let go of the fact that all her life she was supposed to be the queen, and now all of a sudden she's not. And she probably didn't even know what to do with herself.
Yeah. And Sansa's there sitting there watching it like she does, watching everything, watching the toast, listening to them. And Jon looks at Dany, and Dany looks at Jon. They have a smile, but all of a sudden Dany's face changes because she remembers Sansa catches that. And not only Sansa catches that, but so does Varys. So they both catch on to Dany's expression.
Right.
And Sansa gets up and just walks away.
It seemed to me like the only person that really noticed how upset Dany was, though, was Varys.
Yeah, but I think Sansa just didn't like the look between the brother and.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm done with this." They were all kind of smiling, though. That's what it was. They were all smiling, and I think Dany even looked over at Jon and kind of looked over at Sansa, and Sansa was like, "Yeah, I'm not sharing a smile with you. I'm done. Goodbye." Yeah. Speaking of Sansa, I was really glad that we finally got, and I mentioned this in previous live streams, that we still hadn't seen a conversation between the Hound and Sansa, and we finally got that this episode. How'd you like that?
I liked it. That just kind of reminded all of us, like, I'm a badass because I went through a bunch of shit and I'm grown now and I'm not that little girl anymore. Take me serious. I think that was information not just for, for the Hound. I think that was information for us, the viewers.
For us to remember.
Yeah, this show's taken us all back to all past episodes, everything. Yeah, they're taking everything back. They're reminding us of everything. And, the Hound was like, hell yeah, I get it. So I think that was it. That was their bit of conversation. But, yeah, I would think it was a good celebration. I think everybody looked happy and everyone had, a lot of information going on at the celebration. But the one that I was really impressed with was Jamie. He looked so happy. Did y'all notice how happy he was? So
Jamie,
happy.
I never seen Jamie like that, right?
Never. He couldn't. This is the first time Jamie's finding out who he is.
Right. He's like self-exploring.
He was playing a game with his brother.
Yeah. That was nice to see him do that. It was nice to see him be laughing and happy and
he was making friends.
Mm-hmm.
He never had the chance to do this, not because of Cersei, but because of who he was. He's the Knight of the King.
Mm-hmm.
That was his thing. He always had to be serious, and
he could never be the one drinking. He could never be the one whoring.
Yeah.
He could never. Well, he wouldn't whore anyway. He was just such a loyal dog. He loved Cersei. He was always loved Cersei, and even how awkward he was. Like even the whole. I know you're not crazy about the whole Brienne and Jamie love affair.
But you're right. It was awkward. He was awkward. He didn't know how to make a move.
Yeah, he didn't know. He didn't
never
know
had to make a move because he just always banged his sister.
He was banged his sister, right? So he never.
Speaking of virgins, I think both of them were virgins.
I mean, really, he's only ever been with Cersei, so he didn't know at all how to be with someone else. Right. And so I think it was. Yeah. I think that's one thing I liked about the scene. I liked that it was awkward. I liked that they were awkward because it would be awkward. And I felt like that was more real to me that it was awkward. Even their kiss seemed like you could call it forced, but to me it was awkward. And I think it would be. I think that was what made it more real for me personally. And I know it was fan service. I know a lot of people wanted to see that, but I also like how it ended. I like that he couldn't look. He knew Brienne is such an honorable person. She's such a good person too. And he knew that he wasn't a good person. And he knew that as he sat there and looked at her that, like, even the first night, he looked over at her and he was like, I don't deserve this woman. Yeah. I don't deserve her. She's so much more than I can ever be. And if she knew that I pushed Bran out the window and that I strangled my own cousin and he confesses it all to her. Confesses it all at the end to be like, I'm not a good man. I'm not a good man. And you know what? I think he is a good man in his heart. I think we've had this discussion, right?
Absolutely. Totally. I mean, Jamie's never got to be Jamie, never got to be who he was, and never got to grow up. He was always told what to do from either his dad, from the king, from the Mad King, from Robert Baratheon, and then also now from his sister Cersei. Right. So he's really never got to have a thought of his own. Never had to be himself. The only place he has been is when he was with Bree, and whenever they had the whole capture and journey together, he was able to talk freely, be who he was, and I think that's what he fell in love with her about, was that he could be himself, and she was no judgment.
Yeah,
she was no
was
judgment.
Like, just keep walking, whatever.
Yeah, she was no judgment. She was like, you're not the way you think you are. You think you're a badass. You think you're, but you're not.
Yeah, she put him in his place.
She saw right through him.
Yeah, she did. She sure did. She sure did. She sure let him know.
I think she knew him before he knew himself, and she's the one that had helped him along that path. Mm-hmm. So when he did go back to Cersei, it was awkward.
Right.
He was playing a role, and he knew he was playing a role. Yeah.
Melodies says, anyone else shed a tear at the beginning of episode 4, the ceremony surrounding the death of endearing characters? We did, at the very beginning of the live stream, Melodies, we did talk about the funeral, and I definitely dropped a tear. It was definitely very heartfelt. So,
Yeah, I was more like mesmerized on John's lines that they gave, the lines they gave for John, the character. What's his name? Kit. They gave him really good lines. They finally brought him back into Game of Thrones
right.
to do something. And that's what I really liked. He's good at delivering those good special moments and lines, So that was what was real heartwarming to me.
I agree. I really did like that. I was, the whole thing was really good. It definitely made me cry.
Yeah.
All of it was really good. So,
so Jamie's changed. He's done it. He's going to go do his thing. He's off.
Going back to Cersei. Valonqar.
He's going to do.
I'm still going to say that every live stream. I'm like, Valonqar.
Yeah. And I think if I'm right about the writers, I think that's where they're going. If they want to hurry up and spend their budget on a big, nice, good blowout ending, then they're just going to get all this stuff out the way.
Well, we're supposed
to obstacles, I should say, all the obstacles out of the way.
This episode is directed by the same guy, Miguel Sapochnik, who directed episode 3, which was the big battle. Who directed? I think he did Harrenhal, which was the big massacre with the White Walkers north of the Wall.
He's really good at doing battles.
We're going to get a battle. We're going to get a battle this episode. So it's not going to be as big of a battle, of course, as the battle with the Night King, but we are going to get a battle, and something is going to happen big here, and it's going to be battle oriented because of him.
Yeah. Do I see Cersei dying? Maybe. I mean, do I see her fleeing? Sure.
I don't see her fleeing. I really don't. I know you've said that, and I think of course it's a possibility, but I don't see her fleeing. She has never left.
The Gold Company's going to turn about face and go after her.
She has never left King's Landing in the entire series.
And I know, but they're tricksters. You said it yourself.
I know.
They're tricksters.
I know.
You said it themselves. She never leaves it. But if the Golden Company do an about face and turn, and they're after her, she has to flee.
Mommy, ice cream, Momo.
Huh? What are you doing in here?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Oh, Autumn. This little girl wants
ice cream.
She wants ice cream. Momo promised her ice cream. Go tell mommy. Go tell her. Close the door. Close the door, please. Thank you, my love. Thank you, my lady. So I wanted to say before we move on from the Hound, because we kind of talked a little about Sansa and the Hound, and I wanted
that happened.
I wanted to be sure that I said that I called it in my predictions video. If you haven't seen my predictions video, you can check it out. I've got a lot of things wrong, but one thing I did get right was that Arya and the Hound are going to King's Landing together. And I pegged that one. If they were going to end up back together and they were going to end up going to King's Landing, and we all know what they're going there for, right?
Yeah.
We all know they're going to there to kill Cersei and to kill the Mountain. So I cannot wait to see that. I really hope we see that this episode. I hope they don't make us wait until the last episode for that. I'm like, come on, let's get Cersei over with. Come on, babies. Let's get it done. Right? Let's get it done.
That's true. Yep, I think so. I'm watching this still where they're drinking and partying it up, the celebration.
Yeah.
And I swear, I think these actors are really partying it up.
Well, before we move away from
over there, there's something like good alcohol. They're probably so upset that their ending could be their last thing that they filmed. It looks like they're really drinking.
They do, right? They look like they're really drinking.
They look really like their eyes are a little. Wouldn't that be fun?
So, what'd you think about before we move away from the dinner?
Oh, I just noticed Pod had a little something with the girl.
He did. Did you see that?
Oh my god!
Yes, it's gonna please some other little girl.
Oh my gosh!
They never tell us what Pod did, but I'm sure he just was tentative to a female, unlike most men.
Oh, I love that he pours his heart out to the Hound.
Yeah,
Oh my god!
Tormund. Tormany's like, I can't believe she
so
left
funny.
me for this guy just rides into town and takes her away. Like he had a chance with her. Like he had a
Oh
chance
my
with
God.
Bran. Yeah, that was cute. I really liked that. And were you surprised about Gendry and Arya?
Oh no. I was saying the lines before she was saying it. My husband was like, stop saying the lines.
Yeah. She was like, I'm not a lady.
I was like, oh God.
I've never been a
You know
lady.
me, I'm not all about the romance, so I pay attention to the opposite of what who they are.
Right. I kind of knew I kind of felt like when the preview showed them kissing, I was kind of like, really? I really didn't see that.
I figure it was, she's the man of the relationship.
Yeah.
Let me go get me some.
And I saw the way he looked at her when she climbed on top of him to, do the hoo-hoo. I saw the way he looked at her. I said that in my video reviewing episode 2, I believe it was, that he looked at her like he was in love with her. Like, oh my God, I'm in love with you. Like, oh my gosh, you're freaking me out. Like, just her pushing him down and just doing that the whole thing, like the past. And look at her, she's this beautiful woman now. And I mean, I knew it was coming. As soon as Danny made him a lord and he was able to feel worthy to be with her, he was like, right away, come be my lady. And I've never seen her settle down. She said it from the beginning. I can't imagine she would abandon that now. That she. Yeah. You think she's gonna die? You think Arya's gonna die?
I think she's gonna go do what she needs to do. I don't think she's gonna die. I think she's gonna survive. She's a survivor. We've seen that when she was training.
Mm-hmm.
She's a survivor, and I think she's going to go back to him.
You think she'll go back? I would be happy with either outcome.
She told the Hound, I can't stay here.
Yeah, I'm not coming back. She said she's not coming back.
Yeah, she's not. She's gonna go back to him, and of course he's gonna greet her with open arms. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would like to see the very ending where you see her, on her horse, walking up to Storm's End and being like coming back to him. Or my thing has always been in my predictions videos for Arya back when I did Arya many, many, many months ago, maybe even a year ago. I've always thought that Arya is going to sail west of Westeros. I've always thought that.
Yeah, they did it in Lord of the Rings, so if they're going to follow Lord of the Rings, which they seem like
they've been doing it. They have. Yep. Yeah. I really see her west of Westeros, guys. Go back and see when she was talking to the lady when it was around the time when forget what was the name of that lady's name that did the play.
Oh yes.
She was supposed to kill her, and then she ended up going to her when she got stabbed by the one girl that wanted to kill her when she was at the House of Faces, right? I'm sorry, I don't remember their character names. I usually knew, but I couldn't remember. But she told her that then. What's west of Westeros? And she said, I don't know. And she goes, I'd like to see that. And I just don't see Arya just forgetting that. I don't see it. I think I see her sailing away in the ship. Mm-hmm. At the end, that's what I see. Or if they do a huge time jump, maybe we see her sail away, and then I'd like to see both, right? Sail away west of Westeros, and then at the big, huge time jump, and then she's, showing up at Gendry's castle, at the end. I could see both. It would be nice to see both. Yeah. It's not a fairy tale ending, though, guys. If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
Yeah. What do y'all think about the Jon and Dany conversation, where he's stumbling drunk? I mean, we talked about it,
Mm-hmm.
He's finally seeing true Targaryen blood in her.
He's really seeing those colors, right? Because she's asking him to lie. Come on, Dany. He wouldn't even lie to Cersei. He wouldn't even lie to Cersei. Seriously?
Yeah. This shows you the values of how they were raised.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you and I brought into the conversation of how was she raised and who raised her and what all happened, after her dad got turned mad, versus we already know what happened to Jon. It just shows the two different values and them coming together and them making these decisions as adults. He is true to heart a Stark of how Ned raised him.
Yep.
With values.
He does. He definitely has the Stark values. He definitely is gonna be that true to he loves that about Ned. He loves that about his dad who raised him. You know, he loves that about him, and he's not gonna abandon that. He is not gonna abandon that. He's gonna do his best to obey his queen, but at the same time he's not gonna lie to his family.
Yeah.
He's not.
Yeah, and his dad was all about the family, which is why he didn't take the throne himself.
Right.
Nick.
His
Yeah.
dad didn't want the throne. Why would he want the throne? You
Right.
know?
We should say stepdad or uncle.
Right, it's his uncle, but it's still his dad. His dad raised him. He was his dad, you know?
Right,
To him, he was his dad, and I think he'll always be his dad, just like the girls
Yeah,
will always be
right.
his sisters, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I think you were right about,
Yeah, Danny was raised in a totally different outlook, different values, different thinking. She was drilled by her brother and told about the history of the Mad King and everybody. So that's in her head, because she said she was really young when this all happened.
Danny?
She was born during a storm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she never met any of them. So those of you who don't know the story or don't remember hearing them discuss it, there was a little discussion here and there, but Danny's mother, which is the Mad King's wife, right? Okay, the queen. She was pregnant with Danny when they came to take over King's Landing. When it wasn't Robert's army, I think it was the Lannister army, changed sides. And Varys convinced him to open the gates, and let the Lannister army in, who was supposed to protect them, but instead they attacked them.
Yeah.
And when that happened, Varys knew it was going to happen. So Varys snuck away the queen and little Viserys, her older brother. He snuck them away off to Dragonstone, and that's where where they were when they stormed in, and the Clegane killed Rhaegar's wife and Rhaegar's children. Right, he raped her. Right, he said, "We heard you raped her, and you killed her, and you killed her children." That's what they were talking about. Rhaegar's ex-wife and children. He killed them. They killed them, and the Mad King, of course, was killed by Jaime. All that happened, and she was still pregnant, very pregnant. And within the next day, they were like, "Well, where'd they go?" Well, they went to Dragonstone. A storm came, so they weren't actually able to go to Dragonstone to kill the rest of Targaryens, because they knew that's where they were. And during that storm, which is why she's called Daenerys Stormborn, she was born during that storm on Dragonstone. And then right after the birth, right after the storm was over, they were snuck off to Essos, and that's how they survived. So, you know, that's the story. That's what she wasn't even alive. She was born right in those days. So
she's hearing these stories as she's growing up.
Yeah, this is the stories that she hears. She doesn't really know anything firsthand. She's never met them. She doesn't know. So
from her brother, who was also mad for power for the throne.
Oh yeah, totally. He was a spoiled brat, right? He was a spoiled brat. But she's kind of turning into her brother a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, she's turning into her brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have Danny is pushing toward war so she can hurry up. Yes, Danny is pushing. Yes, so Danny is trying to hurry up and start this war because she's so afraid that.
Sansa says, "Let's let them rest," right, when they're strategizing.
Right, but she wants to hurry up and push toward this war because she's so afraid that everybody's going to find out about Jon, and it's going to be a problem. Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. At least Jon didn't lie. Right. At least Jon didn't disobey her. He let Bran tell his sisters. He let Bran.
Like, you tell them.
Yeah, you tell them. You go ahead. You tell them.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. Good going, Jon. Good going, Jon.
Right.
So when Jon leaves, he leaves and he says goodbye to Sam, and he says goodbye to Gilly, and he says goodbye to Tormund. Was it me? That seemed like a goodbye forever. Didn't that seem like a goodbye forever for you?
It did, kind of, sort of. Let me see. I'm on that part right now.
He was very like, those words just seem like last words. Last time to say goodbye to Sam. It's good to know you, dude. I'm so glad I knew you. We're gonna name our son after you. You know? Tormund, I'm going back north of the wall. Oh, that was the big one. That was the big one.
That was a very important conversation with him and
Tormund said to him, you belong in the north. The real north.
Yes.
What's up with that, guys? What is up with that? There is something there. That goes back to Lori's theory. If you haven't seen our theory, we talked about Lori's theory last Sunday, the pre-episode conversation. Okay, it was our predictions for episode 4. We discussed Lori's theory, which had to do with John having to be the sacrifice, to be a mediator between the children and the men, that everything will end where it began, which is with the children and the men. And he'll end up having to be the mediator and he'll have to sacrifice himself to be the new Night King, and he'll have to go north of the wall. So that all supported that, right?
Yeah, I agree, yes.
That supported that. Him saying that, it was like, it made me go, uh-oh, that sounds like Lori's theory. Like, what is that? You know, like, why would he say that? You belong north of the wall. Why would he say that?
No.
Oh, I just got an emergency alert. Are you still there?
To take Ghost with him.
Yeah, he told Tormund to take Ghost with him, take him north of the wall. Like, something's up there. That's not for nothing. Right?
I mean, was that like a little wink to his wife? Like, I don't know. Like the north is in you, like you fell in love there.
Yeah, like Ygritte. That was like, it could have been like a little wink to Ygritte, right? It could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been.
He fell in love with the wildling.
Yeah, he fell in love with the wildling.
I mean, I'm just saying maybe that's what he meant. Like, you loved it, you fell in love there, you were happy there. You know, that's what he probably meant. And I like what John said. He explained to him, this is the north. This is the real north. You know, like, this is still, he's like, yeah, but this isn't home for us.
Yeah. They were ready to go home, right? They were ready to go home.
For a reason, everyone's going back to where they were. Maybe they are setting it up for more White Walkers.
I'm really hoping so. Again, I keep saying it. I think they're tricking us.
Because he did say we'll go back to the wall.
Yeah, he's going back to Castle Black, and he said that then, you know, from there they'll go back home. You know, so they're not gonna stay south of the wall. They're for what, right? For what reason would they have to? Now that they can come and go as they want now.
Right.
I wonder if you think they're gonna make a new Night's Watch? I mean, for what, right?
No, I think they will.
Well, if there is a pact and if there is a thing, they'll have to, right? They'll have to fix the wall.
I don't think they know. It's unpredictable. They always have to be ready. They have to burn bodies. They don't know if it's going to happen again. They have no idea. The only one who does know is Brad, and he ain't saying shit.
Maybe that's what we're going to finally get. You think that's finally the flashback we're going to get, is to explain what to expect, so they know that they need to be on alert, or they know they need to fix the wall, or they think it's going to be something there.
Old Nan was telling Bran when he was little. Old Nan said, you know, and then they went into hibernation for thousands of years. You know, what made them go into hibernation? Why?
Right? Like, how did
if they're dead and they can defeat anything, then why hibernate? Remember Old Nan was telling the story?
Yes. She was explaining it all. In the very beginning. It's like, I don't know. To Bran, yeah.
And maybe that's what he's doing. He's going back to understand the concept of why they went to sleep and now they're waking up.
Right. And is there something more? Is there something more?
We know he went 120 years back.
We know he's been going back. He's been
Because
going.
he said it 120 years ago.
I keep thinking also, like, there was supposedly, now that, again, they could have just been pulling our leg, wanting to mislead us, but the actor that played Rhaegar was supposedly filming. He was in Belfast, and he was supposedly filming. So I go back to, Rhaegar caused a war to marry Lyanna and have a baby with her.
Right.
That's big. He loved his people. He loved his country. He had a wife. He had children. Why would he do that? You can't tell me that he was so in love with this woman that he sacrificed all of these men's lives for this war. He had to have a reason.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the Trojan War. It's a Trojan War. It's the same reason why the Trojans fought in the first place. Over a woman.
I don't know. I don't buy it. Rhaegar wasn't that kind of man. He wouldn't sacrifice everyone else for his selfishness, no more than Jon would. You think Jon would do that? You think he would take a woman and unless there was good reason for it? And see, Rhaegar, he was a scholar. Before Rhaegar was a fighter, he was a scholar. He didn't wield a sword.
I think he was. Maybe he wanted to break the whole tradition of marrying into the same bloodline.
No, because he was married to a Dorne. He was married to a Dornish princess. So that was, the story.
Oh, that's right. I remember about the rose. Yes. I remember.
So if you go back and you look at the history of Rhaegar, if you go back and you look at the history of Rhaegar, you'll see that when he was a boy, he had no interest in fighting. He was a reader, like Sam. He spent all his time in the books, and he read and he read and he read. And one day he came across the prophecy, and then he realized that he had to be a fighter. And he came out one day and said, "I'm supposed to be a fighter." And so he started learning to be a fighter. And this was after he was, yes. So he knew something about the prophecy. At first, he thought he was the prince that was promised. And then later, he realized that it was not him. It was going to be his child.
Oh, my gosh. This is the same story as Dany. Similar story as Dany.
Yeah. So Rhaegar knew. That's why he knew he had to have a son of ice and fire. He knew that. He sacrificed everything he did to make Jon for a serious purpose, and it has something to do with the prophecy. And they haven't showed us the true prophecy, and they haven't showed us what Rhaegar found out and what Rhaegar knows. And I really think that's what we're going to get.
And that's what Bran is searching for. That's what
Bran is searching for. That's what I think. Bran is still going in the past, trying to figure out what the prophecy is and what is the real end game here. And I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. It's not Cersei. Cersei is not the end game. And I don't think it's just Jon and Dany fighting. I think there is something else. There's something else. And if there's not, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry. I'm going to be disappointed. They can't have a big bang ending with what we already know. They can't.
They tie it together.
They just can't. I don't see it.
I just think I think that Cersei is an obstacle. I think she is in the way. I think they need to get this done.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the same setup of how they did the Night King.
I think so too. They're gonna knock that shit out.
Yeah.
So they can move on to the big
move
bang.
on to what we're all talking about.
Right. And maybe they're gonna save it for the last episode. Maybe this episode's just gonna be about defeating Cersei and getting that shit done.
Yeah.
They've been talking about defeating Cersei for I don't know how long. Forever. Since she became queen and sat on the damn throne.
And that was another part of the important information they talked about. I think Bronn brought that when he walked in the door, saying, "Come on, you weren't important blood money, or you want money until your parents, y'all were ancestral family too, and y'all took over the throne.
Right?
Y'all had no right to it.
I kind of blew off.
So that was a lot of important past information that they threw in there really quick with Bronn.
He did say that, and because the Lannisters are not the first men. They are not of the first men. No. I think it was clever. I think that they were below the Lord named Clever. I think it was his name. anybody sees this live stream and knows, please let us know. If you know, please comment on the video later even and let me know, and I'll be sure to correct that in a future live stream. But I believe it was Lord Clever who was head of Casterly Rock before the Lannisters, and that's what he's talking about. He's saying that, you know, that's how a lord becomes a lord. Kills enough men. Kills enough men. He kills enough men and becomes a lord. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't real happy with Bronn's role. I feel like
No, but that was a very important information.
That was.
People were listening to it.
That's true. That was. You know,
the
they
Lannisters aren't royalty. They just sat there. You said the same thing about Cersei. She just sat on the queen and made her throne and said, I'm queen.
Yep. She had no right to be queen. Nowhere does it say that if your son dies, you get to be queen next. Then, you know, someone else brought up that now that Gendry's a lord, he now has right to the throne.
Yeah.
He would actually be next in line for the throne. If you go based on the fact that, you know, that the Targaryens were defeated. If you go based on the fact that Targaryens were defeated by Robert Baratheon, Gendry's now got rights to the throne because he's now a lord. She just gave somebody the right to try to steal her throne. Dany, it's just craziness. That's crazy.
I know. That's why it's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, let me make you a lord so you can have a claim to the throne as well. It's just, yeah, that was kind of funny. He was so grateful, though. Poor thing.
I know.
Mr. Gendry.
But yeah, so I think Bronn was in there just for that little bit of reminder information and important information that, you know, they might, Golden Company's going to take all of the prisoners, set them all down in line and say, okay, so you're nothing, you're nothing, you're nothing, you're something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I think he wasn't there just because maybe he could have been just for us fans, all the fans want to see him, but I think the lines that they gave him was important information to know.
Yeah.
Cutthroats, that's what he called them. Great house, hard bastards. Good persons killed. Yeah, you're right. You just said killing for thousands of years. Yeah, so there you go.
I think we'll see Bronn probably.
Lannisters aren't nothing.
Yeah, I mean they weren't. The only reason they were so rich is because they found gold on their land. They mined Casterly Rock and they found gold, and that's why they're known for gold and known for being rich. But all those mines are run dry. Jaime said that, I think, in season 7 when he left Casterly Rock and went to go take over Highgarden because there's no value at Casterly Rock anymore since they've mined all the gold out of it.
Yeah.
So there's no more wealth there, really. The real wealth was at the Reach, where, you know, where there's gardening and food and you know, farmland. That's where the real riches are now. So
yeah.
But I think they totally just kind of benched Bronn the way they benched Yara. You know, lowering their salary for the last season so they can up the other guys' salaries for the season. And then just kind of bring them in probably at the very end. We'll get like a little clip of, you know, a closure with them. And that's probably it for Bronn and Yara. So yeah,
that's true.
I think so too. I think that's what we're going to get. We talked a lot about Varys and Tyrion. I think we kind of went over most of that.
The part where Tyrion is coming up to Sansa. Again, Tyrion is with everybody.
Tyrion today, yeah.
Sansa's and all of the dragons. She's looking at them and looking at Dany, you know, fly the dragon. And Tyrion comes up and tries to convince her to go on Team Dany.
Yeah, Tyrion. He's not going to give up, right?
No, he's not going to give up. So, you know, Tyrion's talking to Sansa, and he's trying to convince her, and this is where Sansa makes the decision to tell him the truth about who Jon is.
Yeah.
Which is a game changer in the whole show now.
Again, being Littlefinger, being the Littlefinger behavior that she has, definitely that's what's going on there, right? Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the only thing I think we haven't really talked about is the ending, the very ending with Masandi's death, and Dany getting infuriated, and Masandi basically telling her to light them up with her Dracarys.
I like that.
I
knew she was going to say that, but I liked it.
I did too. She was true to her queen till the end. You know, she was true to the end. And I'm saddened by Masandi's death, but when Grey Worm did not die, I really thought we were going to lose Grey Worm in episode 3, and I kept saying it. Big kiss is death. That is right? Yeah. Big kiss. Yeah. Anytime you get a big kiss like that, that is death. That's death. And I was sad that it was Missandei instead of Grey Worm. But yeah, she knew when she was captured, that was it. There was no way Cersei was going to let her go. There was not going to be no saving her.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of weird how they brought the dragons back only to kill him 5 minutes later.
Yeah, I thought that was upsetting too. I mean, I know we're going back to the dragon conversation again, but I knew
that's the whole hoopla about the Game of Thrones. Everybody likes the dragons, so it's a very important part of this. And Dany, if she didn't have the dragons, she won't be mother of dragons unless she goes to go get more dragons.
Yeah, I'm. Who is Dany without her dragons? Nobody.
She can walk through fire still. She just doesn't have dragons. She's Targaryen, but I mean, she said it to Varys. I can't think of her name again. The real pretty red woman. They were setting her up since she was little with everything they gave her.
Yeah,
everything.
The Lord of Light gave her all of everything. They gave her the dragons. I mean, that's one thing that Kinvara said, is that the dragons are fire-made flesh. And they were a gift from the Lord of Light. Yeah. So it's all, again, back to the Lord of Light.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm waiting for the big mystery. I'm really looking forward to that. And boy, Dany was mad. She was mad. I don't think she's... I'm really curious what they're going to, the preview, they show Jon with all of the army. He finally arrives, right? He hadn't arrived yet, but he's finally going to arrive with this episode, and they're all going to be lined up out there in the front. And I don't know. I think they're going to attack.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, what do you think about the relationship with Cersei and Euron and her telling him that she's pregnant?
Oh, we didn't talk about that, did we?
No, but then, all of a sudden, he tells her, then they go out, and Tyrion's like, okay, what about your baby?
Yeah, I was expecting Euron to make a face or something.
Not that, and I know he's not that smart, but can he be that dumb?
Right? Like, how did Tyrion know that she was pregnant? I mean, I know they have their whisperers, and people find out stuff.
But that's fast.
But that is pretty fast, right? I mean, how many scenes was it from the time she told Euron to the time that the end where Tyrion is saying it to them?
Yeah.
How far?
And she's totally disgusted by him.
Oh, you could see it in her face. Like every time he goes he went to put his hand on her face, and she kind of rolled her eyes like, oh my God. She's like, she's gonna vomit.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's gonna vomit as she tells him, the Kraken will rule the sea, and the Lion will rule the land, and our baby will rule everything.
With all of that and all that shit that she's blowing up his ass, he might be the one to kill her.
I could see
he
it.
Might be the one to strangle her in her sleep.
Yep, I could see it. I don't know though.
See him as some dumb guy. I mean, that's the whole twist of the character. They're making him like he's not all that smart, and she's playing him for a fool, but you never know. They could turn it around where all of a sudden light bulb goes off and he's like, fucking bitch. Turns around and kills her.
I don't know if he kills her without marrying her. He doesn't really have much to gain from it, though.
I don't think he cares. I think he's just like, she's playing the game with me. I'm tired of playing the game. I don't want a part of this. I'm going to kill her and get out of here.
It could be.
I have my own castle.
If he doesn't see the chance for him to get the throne, I could see it. I still like your theory, though. I think I haven't really heard anybody else put the theory out there that Cersei will take her own life.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm saying that is because I noticed that these writers are going back to old episodes and pulling that together again, putting all that storyline, you know, to make it all marry together. And she's done that before. She was going to.
Right.
When she was going down, she sat on the throne, and her and her youngest son, and she was going to do it. They were about to drink poison, and they were about to take each other's lives, take their lives. And her dad walked in and stopped her.
Mm-hmm.
She's got that much pride. That's how much pride she has.
That's why I don't think she's going to flee.
If she can kill her living son sitting on her lap, I think she could kill her baby in her stomach.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah. I do too. That's why I really don't see her fleeing. I really see her going down with the ship. I could see her killing herself before I'd see her flee. I could see her blowing up King's Landing and saying, if you can't have it, no one can. If I can't have it, no one can. You're not getting it. If I can't have it, no one's getting it. I mean, I could see her lighting that shit up herself. You know, I could see it. I could see it for sure. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah. So do I.
I think, and I would like to see the full circle. You know, I'd like to see the full circle of her being like, you know, let's do it. You know, kill them all, and then someone coming up and killing her to prevent her from doing it. I mean, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for the full circle. Mad Queen.
I know, Mad Queen.
Kinslayer. Queenslayer and Kinslayer. I mean, I know maybe it's too predictable. Everybody knows that Jaime's going to kill her. I mean, does everybody know, or is it just us? Is it just us book readers and I mean, book knowledgeable, the people who are really knowledgeable, like really crazy fans that know about the Valonqar theory, or do you think that the rest of the people out there don't really know about the Valonqar theory, and that it would be a shock?
Youngest brother, it could be youngest sibling. If you think about it, there's a lot of youngest siblings that wants her dead.
If anybody kills her at this point, they're all gonna fulfill. Any of them can fulfill the Valonqar theory. If it's Euron, he's the younger brother. If it's Arya, she's the younger sister. If it's Jaime, he's the younger brother. If it's Tyrion, he's the younger brother. The Hound, he's the younger brother. I mean, they're all the younger sibling.
Yes.
There's not many people who don't fulfill the Valonqar theory. Nope. The only thing that doesn't fulfill the Valonqar theory would be if it was something crazy like the Hound, or if it was something like Qyburn.
Suicide.
Or if it was suicide. Those would be the only things that would not fulfill the Valonqar theory.
Yeah.
So I think, but I'm just wondering, I guess my question was more, do you think that the rest of the crowd who doesn't really know the show, and the rest of the fans that don't really know the show, don't really know the details of the history of the characters, do you, just like those people who know the books knew the Red Wedding was coming, but they still did it. They still did the Red Wedding, even though people knew. And I kind of hoping that it'll be that case with the Valonqar theory, that Jaime killing her would be like a shocker to most people, because everybody sees his devotion. I mean, even him leaving, going, I still love Cersei. I went back to Cersei. I gave this for Cersei. I gave what, and he left to go back to Cersei. And him killing Cersei might be a shocker to the rest of the fans, even though it's not to us. Do you think?
Right. It would be, yes. No, for real, it would. Yes, I agree.
So it's still a strong possibility. It's still not what we would call predictable.
Right. Because a lot of people are not reading the books.
Right. A lot of people don't know the history. They don't know.
And I do know some people that started reading the books, and it's slow because they already watched the show. Just saying, the books are slower paced and more detailed in characters of the characters.
And there's more characters.
So it speeds it up. The action. They put the action,
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It could still be a surprise. What do you think about them going over there? What about them convincing Dany to go ahead and offer Cersei a surrender and them going there? I mean, taking that chance, taking the dragon. I mean, that was a small army she took.
Yeah. She took very few people. The dragon was in the background. Did you notice that Drogon was in the background?
That's crazy.
So vulnerable.
She parked her car back there. And yeah. And I did notice all the scorpions all around. Just absolutely ridiculous. But it's kind of similar of them putting the dragon glass everywhere. You know, they're
Yeah.
kind of setting up the same type of scenario, but with these, you know, the dragons being their biggest threat. Yeah. I thought it was interesting, but I liked when Tyrion walked off. I was like, I'm not talking to you anymore. You
Yeah.
crazy. So
Okay,
bad.
Kyburn. Okay, Kyburn. I'm not gonna get anywhere with
I'm
you.
done with you.
Tyrion, you know, I go back to what Olenna Tyrell said.
And if anyone's going to kill Tyrion, it's going to be crazy man, him, scientist. It'll be him.
Kyburn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go back to what Olenna Tyrell said too when they were all sitting around the table when Dany first arrived in Dragonstone, and the old, the old lady, Olenna Tyrell, the one who ran the Reach, she told Dany back then. She said, "Men are clever, and you know why I've survived above all these clever men? Because I didn't listen to them." And she said, "You're a dragon. Be a dragon." And till this day, she's still listening to them, trying to make peace. And I know she doesn't want to kill all the people. And I know Jon won't like it if she goes in there and kills all the people. But you know what? I'm sorry. How many dragons do you have to lose? How much loss do you have to have before you finally get sick of that shit and go light them up? I'm sorry. You just chopped my head off my best friend. Okay.
I don't think that. No, I don't think that's smart thinking. I don't think that's what Cersei's doing what she wants her to do. She wants her to react and get trigger happy like she's always been.
Yeah.
She's done her research. Cersei's done her research on her. She knows where her weak spots are. She knows it. You know. So if she does do that, she's just falling right into Cersei's hands.
Yeah, I guess that would be me, though.
And Tyrion knows that, and that's why he's trying to talk her out of not falling. I mean, they said it to you. Do not do this. You cannot do this. You can't just go over there and do that. You know, it's ridiculous. And he's going to go in there, and that's the preview. He's going to walk in there and try to calm her down.
Yeah.
And he's scared because she could pick him up and throw him over the cliff. She's small, but he's smaller.
Did you notice she was really casual? Like her dress looked like really big, like her hair was all down, no braids. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah, I did.
In that first, I zoomed in to see it, and she was wearing this big dress, like almost like a pregnancy dress.
She's in mourning. She
lost
her best friend.
She did lose her best friend. She lost her best friend in the world, Miss Sandy.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's gonna light that place up.
She's in mourning and she's mad. And she's gonna look like the Mad Queen. She's gonna turn mad, and Tyrion's gotta go stop her, but she's falling right into Cersei's trap. She knows. She's a child. And Cersei knows she's a child.
Yeah. I have to say, I think if I was, Dany's my favorite character. She's always been my favorite character. And I know she's
everybody's favorite.
I know
character.
she's
Everybody likes Dany.
I know she's going a little Mad Queen, but at this point, if I was her, I think I would light them up too. I'd do it. Cersei's trap or not, I'd kill them. Them MFs. I'd kill them. I'd kill them.
They're not telling her not to kill them. They're telling her to do it with style, with speed, with smart, with tag, to think. I mean, that's what they're trying to tell her. You gotta learn.
I don't know. An eye for an eye.
They're not telling her not to. I mean, even Tyrion says if I could go march up there as a dead night walker, I would go and kill her, my sister, myself. But he's not saying not to kill her, telling her to have some strategy to it.
Yeah, she's definitely gonna have some strategy. She can't just jump on her dragon and ride over there and think she's gonna get past all those scorpions and then just light them up with one dragon. If she still had 2 dragons or even 3 dragons, that might be different. But at this point, with one dragon, they're gonna have to have strategy. She's not gonna win with one dragon.
I was at the grocery store and there was this. I was in line. There was a whole bunch of teenagers and kids, and they were talking Game of Thrones like everyone else you walked into does.
Right.
And they were saying, "Oh, I wish they put some armor on him." And
right.
but Sansa tried to get everyone to chill out and relax and rest and get well, that Danny wouldn't do it. What makes you think they're going to have time to freaking make armor for this?
That would have been smart.
Close enough to measure him.
That freaking would have been smart, right? If they would have taken their time.
His chest is armor. Those scales are hard to get into. I mean.
Well, apparently not. They created something that can pierce right through his scales.
Yeah. So
they probably don't have the technology, I guess, to create a metal that's stronger than his scales.
Or light enough for him to be
to not weigh him down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
So I mean,
not wrong movie.
It was interesting listening to them talk.
It's interesting though, right? The way people think.
Yeah.
Well, Quaithe, it's
so
10.
I did see the mountain back there.
The mountain, yeah. Well, the mountain's the one that
together.
chopped off Missandei's head.
Yeah.
She sure did. Well, it's 10 o'clock, and I'm really sad that we didn't have as many people in the chat today. Especially some of our regulars.
I said I'll be really surprised at who comes back and watches the next episode now that the White Walkers are dead. I had a feeling they weren't going to have very high ratings.
Yeah, they're going to have to do something.
It's dying down, the conversation. Now there's only 2 episodes left.
What is there left to talk about, right?
Not that much to talk about.
I think that's why I'm still waiting for the big kabam. Like I can't wait for something big to happen so that everybody can go, oh my gosh, look what happened. And then people that did lose interest go back and watch it. And
I do have a question for you. There is a part where Cersei first shows Cersei and she's talking to Kygor and he says, the people are happy that Yusuf is back.
The usurper, everybody's heard that the usurper has come and they're all coming to be saved by, being safe inside the walls. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, who are they? Who is he talking about?
The usurper. Usurper is a word for someone who is trying to steal the throne.
No. Talking about are they letting in the people from the village in?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
They're calling all the people so the capital, has walls around it, right? And it has the three towers. One of them has the sept, one of them has the dragon pit, and one of them has the red keep. For those who don't know, that comes from Aegon and his 2 sister wives, who each had their own castle at one time, and so one of them lived with him in one castle, and the other one lived in the other castle that was eventually torn down and became the Sept, and then the third one was the dragon pit, which they always had for the dragons. But there's not only inside of the walls. There's not a lot of people who live inside of the walls. There's a few people who live inside the walls, just like if you were to say people who live downtown. But then you've got like outside of the loop, like outside of the walls, you have all these other people who live on the outside. So she is spreading the word that the usurper has come to destroy, King's Landing, and she's gonna kill everybody, and for y'all to come inside the keep so you can be safe. And she's doing that, obviously as a tactic to make it where Dany won't attack, because if she attacks, she's gonna kill that many more innocent people. So that's kind of where that's what that's about.
Yeah, so the people are coming in.
People are coming in, they're flooding in, and they're coming into the gates, and they're coming in, to be safe, because they think they're going to be safe there. How do they think that is going to be safe? I mean, people are dumb, right? Sheeple? People are sheeple.
I think she's giving them some kind of false hope.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, you're not safe out there. She's going to attack all y'all and kill y'all. Y'all better come in here where we can protect you. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, it's like, really? That's what you got for us?
I know. I know. Yeah.
So anyway, but I think
so then we'll do the preview. I mean, but I had a feeling this was going to happen. I really did. After the Night King and the zombies and everything, I mean, I did not think we were ever going to get that many ratings. People saying I listened to the radio. Today I haven't got to listen to it all week, but I listened to it today on the talk radio, and they talk about it too. They can't stop talking bad about it. They're already talking about the next series, which is HBO's big new series is Chernobyl. You know, they're already talking about that. They hardly now are talking about Game of Thrones anymore. They're so over it. And these are men. This is talking to a bunch of men who love this stuff.
Right.
So it was disappointing to a lot of people. So yeah, I'm not surprised today that there's not that much chat about this episode.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. I'm seeing it too. I hope they're gonna shock us and they're gonna get the crowd back in action and get the crowd excited again. I hope this next episode is gonna do that for us because
I guarantee you they bring the undead back and the White Walkers and all them back here. It's gonna be blowing up.
Right.
YouTube and everything will be blowing up again.
And I'm really hoping.
Favorite.
I'm hoping.
Walking Dead's on #1 show for nothing.
Yeah. Well, Game of Thrones was considered #1 above The Walking Dead. It was.
Doesn't matter. I mean,
So,
they want dead. People want dead.
People want to see the dead. They want to see that. That's what people want to see. Dan and Dave are not dumb. I really don't think they're dumb, and I really think if
well, they were dumb at this part because I really think they lost some fans. I don't know. They were not smart. Something's up.
Something's up, hopefully, right?
If y'all are listening, let me know if I'm wrong.
Right. Well,
y'all know something we don't know.
So anybody who wants to join us in a future live stream, we are still going to continue doing our live streams on Sundays. I don't know, Quaithe, it's 10 o'clock. Did you need to skedaddle? Are you?
Yeah, I do. I have to work tomorrow.
So before I wrap it up, I'll let you say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah, everyone, if you are watching and you like it, please hit the like button. And join us on Sunday. Please.
Join us on Sunday.
Yeah, Firesnow will tell you more about it and talk to you later.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Quaithe.
All right. Good night.
Good night. So as Quaithe said, thank you so much for joining us today. If you're catching us after the live stream, you can certainly leave comments. I'm happy to respond to those comments. I always do see your messages. It always lets me know when you message, and I will respond. You can leave me questions or comments, and I can even address those questions and comments in our next live stream. We only have a few live streams left, guys, left to do after the Game of Thrones. We only have 2 episodes left. We have Thursdays. We do 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We usually go for a couple of hours, so it's 10 p.m. now. If you are watching live. We also do Sundays, and we do Sundays 1 hour before the episode. So 1 hour before the episode, we sit down and we usually talk about predictions. So this Sunday, we'll be talking about predictions for this upcoming episode 5 based on the preview. We go for about 30 to 40 minutes. It goes pretty quickly. Then we wrap that up about 10 minutes before the episode starts, and then we watch the episode. And then we come back about 30 minutes after the episode and we rewatch the episode together. So we hope that you will come and join us either before or after, if not both, episode 5, and rewatch it with us and discuss it. It's really kind of a reactions to the episode that we do after and predictions before. So we will be doing that this Sunday, next Thursday, which will be 7 days from today. And then the following Sunday, which will be the last episode as well, we will do before and after as well. So we hope that you can join us. We hope that you will comment. We hope that you'll give us a thumbs up. I really appreciate you joining us today. And I had a new phrase. I haven't used it very often, but I think it's probably appropriate. It's I bring your enemies what they deserve, right? So that's Jebi konotito pollo grutari mahan. I bring your enemies what they deserve. Good night.